me again, Holly McWilliams, Indigo Arts. So today I'm here at Swintons Art Supplies and we're going to talk about something that I get asked all the time. Glazing. How do you glaze a paint? So today we're going to specifically talk about oil paint, but before we get into this, I always have these questions linked together. Glazing and varnishing. What's the difference? Why are they different? So let me break that down for you. Glazing. I want you to imagine our glazing materials, which I'll get into more in-depthly in a moment, would be like an oil for oil paint, or Winsor Newton makes a product called liquin. There's a whole bunch of products out there with Gamblin as well, but this is a medium. Now a medium, that word is different than a varnish, because a medium is not meant to be removed. A varnish is meant to be removed. So a medium, you will put your paint into your medium and put it permanently on your painting. Forever. A varnish, you put a varnish on your painting at the end of your painting to protect it. You don't mix any pigment in with your varnish. And let's say 50 to 100 years down the road, your painting has been hung in a smoker's house or something. I doubt anyone's gonna smoke in the future, but here we go. Hung in a smoker's house and it has a ton of damage to it. If it's been varnished, that damage will happen to the varnish, not the physical painting. So someone can come in and strip the varnish off, and the colors underneath the varnish will be as beautiful as they were the day that they were painted. This is why we can go back in time and have all these old masters paintings that still exist, because a lot of the damage was with the varnish. So varnishing, before we go on any farther, specifically varnishing with oil paint, you need to do a couple things that will literally be a make or break when you're varnishing. So depending on what product you're using, if you use a final varnish, a brush on or a spray is entirely up to you. I prefer a spray varnish. These are a final varnish. So if you put this on too soon, your painting goes through a curing process called oxidization to be able to dry. Oxidization takes 6 months to a year to actually dry. It's crazy. So even though your oil paint feels like it's dry to the touch, it's still off-gassing. It's heating, it's cooling, it's off-gassing, and it's doing its jam. So if you put a final varnish on too soon, what's going to happen is the final varnish is going to block the oxidization, and you're going to get blooms of a gas that's trapped underneath your varnish. So it will look like you have all this like white blooming, like a mold almost growing over your varnish. And eventually what will happen, it's going to pop the varnish off, and so it's not going to work. Now, you may ask, but I can't wait 6 months to a year to varnish my paintings. So that's why there's something called a retouch varnish. So a retouch varnish is a varnish that's meant to be put onto a painting as soon as it's dry to the touch. A retouch varnish, I want you to imagine that when it's sprayed or when it's painted over top, it allows little holes in it for the painting underneath to off-gas. So that gas doesn't get trapped and therefore doesn't bloom out and crack the varnish off. So a retouch varnish you can totally put on your paintings right away as soon as it's dry to the touch. So I like this spray one called Kmart varnish because it's really easy to use. But Gamblin has just come out with a new product called Gamvar. This stuff is honestly amazing. You can put this on, it's a final varnish, so it's breaking all the rules. You can put this on as soon as your painting is dry to the touch. So, and one other thing about varnish. This one right here is a semi-gloss varnish. This one right here is a gloss. Do you see how the semi-gloss is a little cloudy and the gloss almost looks like it's water? So anytime you put a semi-gloss or a satin or a matte varnish, there's wax in it. That's why it looks like it's cloudy. So the wax will give you that matting agent, but sometimes it will also kind of make your painting look a little bit more dull because you're putting a cloudy substance over top. If you have a pure gloss varnish, it tends to make your painting really glow and your colors will just illuminate underneath. They'll look gorgeous. So that's kind of the difference with this. Truly, It's personal preference. There's no right or wrong. I have some artist colleagues of mine who swear by a satin and some that don't even look at it and they go for the varnish of the gloss. Totally up to you. Now, let's get back to the whole point of doing this video, which was actually doing a glaze. Keep your eyes peeled on my channel, Holly McWilliams Indigo Arts, for the next video on all the ins and outs on how to glaze with oil paint. Thanks for joining me today.